Welcome to Canada's Entrepreneur, where we talk to the entrepreneurs who are making it happen across Canada and deliver the news, trends, knowledge, and opinions from entrepreneurs and business influencers across the country.
Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, Managing Editor of Canada's Entrepreneur. Joining me today on Calgary's podcast is Sean Freeman, who is founder of Impactful MSP. Thanks for joining us today, Sean.
Thanks for having me on, Mario. Good to be here.
Oh, okay, let's talk about Impactful MSP. Maybe describe what that is and what you do.
Sure, yeah. MSPs are IT service providers. And so my history is that I had an MSP and I sold it in January of 2020. And since then, I created a coaching program and a mastermind group for other MSPs to really share what I had built and how I had built it and really help them up their game in their company. And it's been really fun, just helping others learn and level up and really make a difference for their clients. So.
And how did you get into this field?
Yeah. I've been a tech guy since I was, 13. I think my dad gave me my first 386 computer and sparked my love for tech and computers. And so ever since then, I've, built on that, just really enjoy tech and how it can help businesses make their company better, serve their customers and their communities better. And so that's part of the name Impactful MSP is these IT service providers can actually really provide impact to their clients, which in turn helps the community.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk about that. What are some of the key things, I guess, for success when it comes to these companies and what they should be doing?
Yeah, great question. So it's interesting because there's a few things that play here in the IT service provider space. One is it's not regulated, so there's no rules to get into it. You can graduate high school and open a IT service company day after you graduate high school. So it's really the quality and what you get is always different, and so that can negatively affect businesses or positively affect them if it's done right. And then the second thing is that generally speaking, IT service providers are started. These companies are built because somebody's a really good tech and people notice and they're like, oh, you need to help my friend, you need to help my friend, and all of a sudden now they have a company, right? And they're not they don't have the business skills, right? So they don't know how to package things, they don't know how to price things, they don't know how to market themselves, and really they need to learn that skill set if they want to grow their business. And if they want to grow it in a good way that's doing things right, sometimes you need some help, right?
Mm-hmm. What are some of the key trends you're seeing these days in the industry?
Yeah, it's really shifting away from IT providers fixing problems, right? Like my printer's broken or my computer won't turn on. Those things generally aren't as prevalent nowadays. There's not as many servers around in businesses. They're moving to the cloud, and because of that, the job of an MSP is shifting. It's moving more in towards how do we actually use the systems that you're using to make your business better versus how do we keep the lights on, right? That's what we were doing before COVID. But there's just been a big acceleration. And really now the question everybody's asking is how do I use AI in my company, right? And a lot of MSPs are helping them uncover that. And generally, the average answer for companies is, well, you're not quite ready. You've got a lot of this old technology you need to upgrade first. And so helping businesses along that path is really the job of MSPs.
Mm-hmm. And when you mention AI, let's talk a little bit about that. Like, what impact is that going to have on businesses in general as we move forward?
Yeah, it's funny. I've been asking this question, for the last decade is as a business owner, you really need to always be asking yourself, what's the technology that's going to replace my business? Like, what's the Uber of my industry, right? When you talk to people about that and you explain like, hey, Uber came out with an app and boom, taxis are super affected. Like that's going to happen in a lot of industries. And so as leaders of businesses, we need to try to figure that out. We need to be ahead of that, right? And I think AI has made that even more prevalent now that that's kind of gone mainstream. So
Yeah. Have you noticed any difference in industries and their use of technology, and which ones are more Obviously, obviously, the tech industry would be, but other industries that which ones are more, I guess, willing to engage in new technology and the investment of technology?
Yeah, interesting. I'm not really seeing industry trends. What I do see though is just life cycles of businesses. So you've got companies that are fairly new, they're started by younger people, they're all in on tech. They're like, how do I use it to automate things and streamline so I don't have to hire? I can hire the right people to do the right things instead of admin work, right? And then you've got people that are kind of in the middle where they're still growing and they've got 10 or 20 years left in their career, and they're generally wanting to adopt, but maybe a little slower because their company might be a bit bigger. And then you've got the businesses that everybody's talking about it. People are they're a couple years from retirement, 4, 5, 6, maybe under 10 years from retirement, and those people are quite less. They're less. Willing to look into the tech. They kind of just want to hope it just blows over and they can kind of get out without having to worry about it. I think that AI is really, showing us that the timeline is really short, right? Things that took hundreds of thousands of dollars last year now can take tens of thousands of dollars this year, and next year it'll be even less, right? So technology is coming out and really replacing a lot of things. And so what I tell those leaders that maybe don't have, they don't have the willingness or the appetite to look into these things is you need to bring somebody on your team, right? You need to get somebody in that can bring that, that fresh perspective, and they can implement these systems for you. They can teach your team. You can't stop learning, right? As soon as you stop evolving, your next competitor is going to come out, and it might not be an app, it might be another business, but they're going to come out and they're going to have an advantage over you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now, Sean, you deal with a lot of different businesses and business owners out there in this company, and another topic we'll get
Yeah.
into later on the charitable side of things. But what's your sense of the mood of the business community in Calgary these days?
Yeah, I think it's optimistic. I think honestly, people are looking at AI and, trying not to be too afraid, but also like looking at as a tool, how do we use it to be able to focus on the things we enjoy doing, right? Like the human connection, meeting with people, solving problems for other businesses, and AI can do the stuff we don't like to do, right? So those are the conversations that MSP owners are having with their clients is, there's parts of your day that are repetitive and tedious and that you don't love to do. How about we automate those and bring AI in to solve those problems for you, and then you can focus on higher value work, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the conversation, and really focusing back on the people, right? It's a tool. It's not going to replace us, but we can use it to help. Just another hammer in the toolbox, right?
Yeah. And being a business owner in this city and this province, what advantages do you think are there of setting up shop here?
Yeah. There's a ton of advantages. The Alberta advantage is great. Like people they're willing to help other business owners. There's not a lot of these clicks. Like if somebody wants to start a new company, they'll have a ton of support if they ask for it. I think that's a big part of Alberta. I think there's a lot of capital. There's a lot of smart people here. We've really done a great job at getting tech into our economy and using it for our other industries to help them along, right? There's tons of different stories about that. And there's been lots of successes. So it's a really good, growing ground for businesses to start off. There's a ton of head offices here, which is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah. And investment comes here. Obviously, we have really favorable tax for investors.
Yeah. When you started off as an entrepreneur, what was your biggest challenge?
Yeah, good question. One of the things that I faced is like, when do I hire that first person, right? Like, because you start your business and you get all this revenue and you can finally pay yourself a good salary and maybe a bit more than you were making at your last job. And then you're like, well, I got to hire somebody. That means I got to take a pay cut, right?
Yeah.
So getting over that hump, and the solution for me was just to really have that sales and the marketing piece in place so that I could forecast. Like okay, I think I'm going to add a few new clients. And so therefore that's going to support this new person coming in. And then, just right time, right place. Luck, luck has a lot to do with business. Business owners go through a lot of good and a lot of bad. But nobody ever sees the bad, right? So a lot of luck plays into it. I got really lucky in a lot of things. But yeah, just be as prepared as you can. Figure out what you don't know and then learn it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if you were giving advice to an aspiring entrepreneur, what would you tell them?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. As you're getting into businesses, you're going to run into things that you don't quite understand or don't make sense. Ask as many questions as you can, even if they sound kind of silly, or even if the person's like, oh, that's easy, just keep asking, right? Because you didn't know. We've all learned somehow, right? And just getting around people that you can get mentorship from. And really, that's why I built Impactful MSP, because there are people going out there and starting IT provider companies because it's easy until they realize they don't know the business side. And a lot of those things really matter, right? Cash flow can sink or swim you. It doesn't matter how good at tech you are. And so get out there and ask. That's why I created that community and that coaching offer. And it's really approachable on the price point. So
Yeah, we're going to switch gears here and talk a little bit about a passion of yours, and that's an organization in Calgary called Trellis. First of all, talk about a little bit about Trellis, what it does, and then we'll get into your history behind.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Trellis is it's a nonprofit, Trellis Society, and what they do is they support youth in vulnerable places. So kids growing up that are kind of at that intersection, they could go hang out with bad people or they could go play with positive friends. Just getting them really on the right path is important, and supporting them and supporting their families to make sure they have what they need. Obviously, if we can lift those folks up in our communities are much better off, right? They're preventing issues from happening in the future, right? So that's really why I believe in it. My history with it, the history of Trellis is it was formed when Trellis Society and Aspen Family merged together over COVID. Prior to that, Trellis was Boys and Girls Clubs of Calgary, separate from Aspen. And I was a club kid growing up, so I was a vulnerable youth. Parents went through divorce, and so I could have gotten into trouble, but I had some really good people looking out for me through the clubs that Boys and Girls Club ran.
Mm-hmm. And tell me, maybe describe a little bit about what you do each year with the
Yeah, sure.
Stampede fundraiser for raising funds for this.
Yeah, I get the privilege of hosting an event every year for them in their benefit. And what happened? It was in 2016. The Calgary economy had gone through quite a bit then, right? The oil recession, and we were doing really good in our business. And so we're like, we want to throw a Stampede party. We want to do good for the community. And so we raised money for Boys and Girls Club back then. The first year we raised $5,000, and we've actually kept doing the event ever since. And now it's called the Ace High Stampede Kickoff. It's always the first Friday. We've done it at the Dean House for the last 4 or 5 years. This year we raised $104,000 in the one day, and we're over 325K total raised, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. Do you talk a lot to the kids that are impacted by what Trellis does?
Yeah, we get to hear impact stories, and I've gone on a bunch of tours of different facilities and met them, and it's just amazing to see, hear their stories. Like, here's where they were 2 months ago. Look at them now. All it takes is just a little bit of help sometimes in the right place.
Yeah. What do you when you look at the giving back side of things? Why do you think that's important for business, any business, to do that?
Yeah, I think we build our businesses, for a purpose, right? We want to create something that's, that matters, that has purpose, that makes a difference in lives of our team. But then, you realize that it ripples to the community, right? The community needs support, and it ripples out there. And so if you're supporting the community, you're supporting your team members, the city just becomes a much better place, right? And if we're all winning, how do you go wrong with that, right? That's an amazing thing.
Now, Sean, with your own business and then with your your work with Trellis. I'm wondering what do you do outside of that to give yourself some kind of work-life balance?
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of, when you're doing stuff you love, it's hard. You don't really need to take vacation, but I love to travel, love to play golf. Yeah, just get out there. We just got a puppy. She's 10 months old, almost, no, actually 11 months old today. And so she keeps us on our feet and having fun with her. And yeah, just mentoring people that just need a little bit of support in the business world, right? You kind of forget what you've learned along the way, and if I can give that back to anybody, I'm happy to.
Yeah. What do you like and love about living here in Calgary?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Calgary, so one of the rare ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, Calgary just feels like home. It's a big small town, right? We're 1.7 million, and it's probably 3 degrees of separation to anybody. From people on the top of the tower downtown to
Yeah.
people on the streets, right? Like we're very connected, and I think that's special. I think that's a special part of Calgary. I think our culture is just really supportive and connected.
Hmm. All right. Well, thanks so much, Sean, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, that was Sean Freeman, who is founder of Impactful MSP. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, managing editor of Canada's Entrepreneur. Thanks for joining us today.